here again with another Breaking Bad Season 2 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you are caught up to the point where I am, rewatching or watching Breaking Bad, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case and you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. Join me on the journey of rewatching and discussing this amazing show. Of course, it's not my first rodeo to Breaking Bad. I've watched the show at least 7 times. I think it's a lot more than that. It's like 7 to 10 times. I kind of lost track, but join me on the journey of rewatching this masterpiece. Even though it's my 3rd favorite show of all time, it's not my favorite. This will be Breaking Bad Season 2, Episode 2. The title of this episode is called Grilled. And this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. And on a side note, to me, this seems more like the Season 1 finale. Now, it doesn't finalize everything that happens in Season 1, but the whole Tuco Salamanca storyline, this fits as a better finale for Season 1, because the Season 1 finale was kind of like, it just didn't seem right. So, just my thought. We start the episode off with seeing shell casings all over next to Jesse's lowrider, with the car's hydraulics going up and down, up and down, up and down. And then at the DEA or the federal building, Hank shows everyone Tuco Salamanca's mugshot and says that they raided his headquarters. Studied the face, studied the file, get a big old raging hard-on to catching this piece of shit. And then he messaged something about HR. Hank says that Tuco is the prime suspect in the disappearance of their informant, Crazy 8, the one that Walt killed with the bike lock. Otherwise known as, I don't remember his name now. I'm drawing a complete blank. I should have even said that. I don't remember his name. So Hank pumps everyone up to find Tuco Salamanca, like I said. And then Hank tells Gomi that he needs to take some personal time as Walt's disappeared and he needs to attend to that. And it turns out of nowhere, Hank actually had a GPS tracker on Walt's Aztek. Now, we don't actually get told that in this episode, but we see something on Walt's car that Hank takes off of it. What else would it be? That's very interesting. I guess Walt's, messed up so much that Hank has decided to put a tracker on his car. And then we have an APD detective, Tim Roberts, who is speaking with Skyler and Walter Jr. about Walt's disappearance. And Skyler mentions Walt looking at his cell phone. And then as Hank walks Tim Roberts out without anybody else around, he says he ran the records and checked with the phone company. And the call that she said that happened didn't. There was nothing on there. So that means either she's imagining things or he has a second cell phone. And this isn't the last that we see of Tim Roberts, but he's not an important character, but he certainly proves or shows that he has a purpose. Walt and Jesse are in the trunk of Jesse's car, and Tuco pulls them out. Skyler and Marie go around town putting Walt missing posters all over. They're not really posters, but that's what they're calling them. And then Walter Jr. prints more posters in the soon-to-be baby's room, but doesn't move the box that's right there out of place that has all the money in it. If he just would have even touched it with his foot, I'm sure he would have been like, what's in there? But he doesn't. So Tuco has made Walt and Jesse watch TV with Hector Tio Salamanca. Now, Tuco calls him Tio. I usually call him Hector. I might call him both, but just so you know who I'm talking about. And he is apparently a stroke victim from what we see if you're new to the show. I hope you're not new to the show if you're watching this video. He's in a wheelchair, and he can only communicate by ringing a bell with his right hand. So he's had a hard life. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this show, you should really check out Better Call Saul, because it gives him more of a backstory on Hector Salamanca, and it shows why he's in the chair. So just for reference. And the person that put the bell on his chair, Lalo Salamanca. Tuco checks out Jesse and Walt's wallets. Tuco says he always likes doing business with a family as he's looking at a picture of Walter Jr. and Skyler. And then Tuco asks Walt if he can trust him. And Walt says, yes, absolutely. Tuco says the DEA took his whole crew from top to bottom. And that's why he kind of disappeared. And then Tuco starts flipping out. He thinks Gonzo, his bodyguard of sorts, is currently working as a DEA informant or a police informant. And Tuco tells Jesse and Walt that he's going to take them to Mexico. They're going to get their own lab and nobody's going to bother them and they're just going to cook meth all day. Walt doesn't like this idea because I have a family. I can't just pack up and leave my family. Of course, Tuco doesn't know about the cancer either. And then Tuco's asking about the ricin that they had cooked up. And Jesse's trying to convince Tuco to take a bump of this. Jesse says it has a secret ingredient, chili powder. And then Tuco says he doesn't like chili powder. And then he takes a hit of the blue stuffs. The blue stuff, that is. Tight! Tuco's so hyper, I tell you. And then he essentially wants to kill Jesse. I don't know if he really wanted to or he was just being crazy with taking the bump of meth. But Walt says that he needs him very badly. And then Tuco says his cousins are on the way. And you're going to go or you'll be dead. You're going to cook. You're going to cook with me. Or you're going to have your own lab and cook. And that's what's going to happen. Then we go to Walter Jr., who is going to the train station with Lewis, his friend that we don't really see a lot, to put more posters up. Now, Marie lets it slip that there's a second cell phone, or at least that's what Hank thinks. And Skyler wants to know why Walter Jr. would have a second cell... Or, I'm sorry. Why Walt would have a second cell phone. Hank says Walt has a secret and it's something he doesn't want Skyler to know about. And then Hank goes to Jesse's parents' place. Now, he only talks to Jesse's mom, and I can't remember her name, and tells them that Jesse and Walt, because Walt was his chemistry teacher in high school, have actually stayed in touch, but now Mr. White is missing. Then Hank also eventually tells Jesse's mom that he's with the DEA, and he tells her he just wants to find his brother-in-law. He doesn't care about anything wrong that Jesse may or may not have done. He just wants his brother-in-law back. And then back at the place that's secluded out in the middle of nowhere in the desert, there's a news report about Gonzo and No-Dose that comes on the TV, and Walt actually gets up and changes the channel, and Tuco is actually cooking food and taking random bumps of the blue meth during this time period. And this is all in front of Tio Salamanca, who just sits there in his chair at the moment without doing anything. And then Jesse wants Walt to take a risk his life to try to take out Tuco, or at least get him vulnerable where Jesse can potentially do something to him. As we know that Walt will most likely be dead soon anyway. So Walt takes a chance because Tuco's cooking food. He puts all the food on the table and says, eat. And then as he's dealing with Hector's chair and to move it, you have to switch some things. Walt puts the ricin on one of the burritos. Now, we don't know for sure what chair Tuco was going to sit in, so that could have easily been the chair that Hector Salamanca was placed at. We don't know, but... So Tuco goes to take a bite of his burrito. He actually sits in the chair with the ricins on the burrito, and Hector rings his bell as Tuco is about to take a bite. And then Tuco goes to take another bite, and now Hector rings his bell twice. Ding, ding. Tuco thinks he wanted the bigger burrito and switches it with Hector Salamanca's. And then Hector proceeds to knock his plate to the ground, his plate of food to the ground. What did you do that for? Tuco yells. Tuco shoots. Now that it's kind of done with that thing, and now Tuco is shooting at, I believe it was a cow in the area and then takes bumps while he's doing that. And Hector continues to ring his goddamn bell. Don't even tell me that you're hungry. And we find out that 1 ding is for yes, and 2 dings means no. So Tuco asks some questions, because Hector Salamanca is mead mugging Walt and Jesse. You don't trust them? Ding. Did they do something that you don't like? Ding. What did you do to my Tio? And Walt panics and tells Tuco that he turned the channel on his TV, and that really upset him. So Tuco starts flipping out, takes Jesse outside and starts to rough him up. And then Tuco has a gun to Jesse's head. Tell me what you did. So Walt eventually says that we tried to poison you. You're an insane, degenerate piece of filth and you deserve to die. And then while Walt's comment has distracted Tuco, Jesse grabs a rock from the desert sand and clocks Tuco with the rock that he had found. And then wrestles around with Tuco, and Walt now has the automatic weapon that Tuco was carrying, and Jesse is able to get a hold of the gun that Tuco had tucked behind him and shoots Tuco off to the side, and then kicks Tuco. Who's the bitch now? It's not exactly how he said it. More like, who's the bitch now? Or something like that. And then Tuco falls in the hole that's in the ground. Just a random hole. I don't think it was a hole for a grave necessarily. And then Walt and Jesse get in Jesse's car, but don't have the keys. Tuco must still have them. And then they notice that someone is coming, and they think it's Tuco's cousins. So they run and hide. Well, they hide behind something. Still trying to think of Crazy 8's name. It's not Diego, but for some reason that's popping in my head. I don't know why. Some things just drive me nuts memory-wise. So Tuco is able to climb out of the hole, and then Hank is the one that's arrived. And this is kind of a continuity error in my opinion. I know earlier in the episode he asked Gomi to try to find Jesse's lowrider. But, I mean, it's not like they went satellite imagery and found it that way. So how did he know where this was? I don't know. A little bit of a continuity error. Kind of, sort of. I mean, you can look past it, but little things like that. Breaking Bad's not perfect. It's pretty damn good, but it's not perfect. So Hank sees Tuco, thinking it's Jesse Pinkman, and says, you're a hard man to find. And then Hank quickly realizes that is Tuco Salamanca, the one that he was showing mugshots of early in the episode. And Hank's like, easy. And then Tuco grabs his automatic weapon. Hank and Tuco start to have a shootout. And Hank wins despite having only a Glock and Tuco having this automatic weapon. And Hank has killed Tuco Salamanca. Walt can't believe it's Hank. So Walt and Jesse kind of take off. Well, Walt kind of runs away and Jesse follows, as Hector continues to ring his bell in the background, ending the episode. And what I'd like to say, ending season 1. But it's not the end of season 1. We already had the end of season 1. So, pretty awesome episode of Breaking Bad. I'm going to score this one a 9.5 out of 10. And my characters of the episode, it's kind of hard. Like, Tuco and Jesse were good for the males. And Hank, I'm going to give it to Hank. I was going to give it to Tuco or Jesse, but I'm actually going to give it to Hank because he killed Tuco Salamanca. He started the episode off with showing the federal people about Tuco. So, and then for the females, it's Skylar or Marie. Take your pick. I'll give it to Skylar in this particular episode. So, you've heard mostly what I have to say. Now, of course, it's your turn. If you're a fan of Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, or the Breaking Bad movie El Camino, make sure that you Hulk smash that like button, share the video with anybody you know, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Breaking Bad. What would you score the episode if you had to choose? Your favorite character, whether it be male, female, or just one. And then, of course, remember that I will put my review of the Better Call Saul series finale right here. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.